Oh my god. Oh shit. One more. Ow, that hurt. Hello and welcome to another installment of Vinny Views. I am Vinny and I am continuing with this Pride Month series, and today is very special because I'm going to be sharing my ranking of the first 8 episodes of this new Queer Eye reboot on Netflix. Back in the early 2000s, Bravo created this show called Queer Eye for the Straight Guy. Now, I was a wee little lad and I thoroughly enjoyed watching the show. I mean, it was a makeover show, it was a lifestyle show. I had my reservations at first, but I have to tell you that this reboot is amazing. Every one of these Fab Five guys are just so unique and so special and bring something so wonderful to this show. There is not an episode where I do not find myself crying. Today, I'm going to be going through and ranking my least favorite episodes all the way down to my favorite episode of the first season of the Queer Eye reboot. For each episode, I'm going to be sharing a couple of my favorite moments as well as my Fab Five superstars. So let's go ahead and get things started. Number 8 on the countdown is episode 7, Below Average Joe. They were making over this guy named Joe, who's a stand-up comedian. There are a lot of things that make this my least favorite, but a lot of it has to do with how uncomfortable it made me feel. They get him this gig where he has to perform a stand-up routine for a bunch of retired Army veterans, and it is so cringeworthy. He just had a lot of attitude and a lot of reservation, it seemed like, towards getting this makeover. But I gotta say, the Fab Five turned it out with his bachelor pad realness. They gave him the whole basement area. And not to mention that the biggest surprise, I think, was him becoming this ladies man. He was macking out with this girl, asking her out on a date by the end of the episode, and the Fab Five's reaction to this kiss and to him putting on the moves, I think, was the best part of this whole episode. The Fab Five superstar is Karamo, Mr. Culture Man. Karamo went above and beyond and created a brand new website to help. What dedication. Number 7 is episode 3, Dega Don't. I know for a lot of people it's going to be a surprise that this is even so low on the countdown, because for most people that have seen this episode, they think that it's one of the most amazing, emotional episodes. After watching it a second time, I just have different feelings about it. So in the episode, they're making over this guy Corey, who is a police officer, and the episode begins with Karamo behind the wheel, and they get pulled over by a cop, and it's a whole gimmick because it's Corey's friend who is pulling them over to, give him an escort to the house. Ha 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 ha. One of the sweetest moments was that Corey had a nice little spa day with his girl. One of the big highlights was the talk that Karamo had with Corey in the truck. Karamo explained why he doesn't trust police officer. Corey, the police officer, started explaining the police side of it. The thing that rubs me the wrong way about this episode is the fact that they find a Trump sign in the house and it's not really addressed. It's kind of pushed to the side and they kind of make over it, and that subject matter was never really brought up again in the episode. I wish that they would have brought up more on that subject. The Fab Five superstar of this episode is Karamo. His very heartfelt talk with Corey was just very meaningful, very eye-opening. It was a really, really precious moment. Number 6 is episode 8, Hoes Before Bros. It wasn't just a single makeover, it was like a whole makeover, and Fab Five is making over Jeremy, who is a firefighter. His big wish was not a makeover for his house or for his family, but for his fire department. Some of the highlights were Micah, aka Superman, Mr. Buff fireman. There's also a really, really sweet speech that Jeremy gives about not liking the term hero. And Tana's asking him, why does it make you uncomfortable every time I call you a hero? He explains that it's just him doing his job, and it's the most heartfelt thing. The big highlight of the whole episode is just the dancing queens. That whole dance segment. The Fab Five superstar of this episode is Jonathan, solely for the entrance into the dance class. Number 5 on the countdown is episode 2, called Saving Sasquatch. Neil is the guy that they are making over in this episode. He's got big long hair and a big long beard, and he's super, super shy and timid and very, very insecure, does not like touching anybody, likes to keep to himself, and of course the Fab Five do all that they can to break him free of all those habits. One of my favorite moments is when they're raiding through the house and they're looking around, and it's a small little bit, but Jonathan does this whole thing as an Australian safari guide. It's just really funny. Neil's personality in general is one of my favorite things about this episode because he is shy, he's very timid, and he does keep to himself, but he's got this witty, sarcastic sense of humor that's just really endearing to me. And one of the best moments is the spray, delay, and walk away. The Fab 5 superstar of this episode is Bobby. Does a really, really great job of making Neil's space super modern, super chic. Number 4 on the countdown is episode 6, The Renaissance of Remington. He is living in his grandma's house that has not been decorated since the 1970s. One of my favorite moments is Jonathan taking Remington to the nail salon, and just his gossip talk with the nail technicians is just the most precious thing. Also, the food in this episode makes you damn hungry. All I can say is mac and cheese. The main part about this episode was just about the importance of family traditions. The Fab 5 superstar of this episode is Antoni. Antoni goes out of his way to go to Remington's mom's house and to sit down with her and talk about family, and talk about her late husband, and to get the recipes. And I think it is one of the most sincere moments. Number 3 on the countdown is episode 5, called Camp Rules. In this episode, they are making over Bobby, really, really loving Christian family. Bobby and his wife have a whole bunch of kids, and there's a whole lot of mess. Target came through. In this episode, all 5 of the guys take turns shopping with Bobby and his family at Target. They're finding great clothes. They're finding great deals on self-care and creams and all that goodness. They're finding great deals on grocery shopping. They're finding a lot of great things because Target is amazing and everyone should be shopping at Target. Come through Target. Also come through acceptance. The big talk that Bobby has with the Fab 5 at the end of the episode is so heartfelt. What he says about accepting the Fab 5 and showing them love in their house and that they are accepted no matter who they are is one of, oh, I get teary-eyed thinking about it. This is probably one of the moments that I cried the most. But my favorite part of this whole episode is the come through organization. I am a sucker for anything that gets taken down and put back up, all super organized. It's a lot of organizing and I absolutely am here for it. The Fab 5 superstar of this episode is Bobby. Bobby and his talk with Bobby in the garden when they're planting the garden. Number 2 is the first episode, You Can't Fix Ugly. This is the first impression that we're getting of this new reboot. This is the first episode. Tom is just so adorable and so precious with his beard and his accent. One of the main highlights of this episode, we're being introduced to the new Fab 5, and it's an amazing introduction into all 5 of them. They all have their own quirks, their own personalities, their own thing that they're bringing to the table. The Fab 5 superstar of this episode is Jonathan. It's the first episode that we get to see any of them, but in particular, Jonathan, who is just a crazy ball of sassy queen energy that I am here for, I am living for, I am dying for. And the number 1 episode of the Queer Eye Season 1 reboot is episode 4, To Gay or Not Too Gay. AJ is a very shy, very timid kind of guy. He is closeted and he has a boyfriend, and it's just a really, really beautiful episode to see his transformation from where he's at the beginning to the confidence level that he has with his family and his friends all intertwined, and meeting his boyfriend at the end of the episode. Some of the big highlights is Mr. Leather Daddy, AJ. I mean, who knew AJ, little shy AJ, was a freak? He's got a swing, got the leather. When he walked out, oh girl, the look on their faces when he walked out in that leather strap thing, ooh. One of the other great highlights about this episode is the whole home transformation. It's an amazing like loft style place that he's living in, so it's already a pretty cool place. The exposed brick on the wall is just a really, really cool place, and it's a really, really awesome transformation. Without a doubt though, the most amazing highlight of this episode is the moment when he comes out to his stepmom. So beautiful, it's so amazing to see. The Fab 5 superstar of this episode is Tan. Tan finally gets the moment to shine when he's taking AJ shopping. AJ has a lot of insecurities about wearing things that are too feminine looking, and Tan really kind of breaks it down for him and tells him that there's nothing to be afraid of. That is all for this installment of Vinny Views. If you liked what you saw, please be sure to subscribe down below, share with all of your friends, and I will see you next time on Vinny Views. Bye! 1, 2, 3, hit, Oh, bless me. Stay in there, devil. We're good.